Ready?
Ready?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Welcome to the Health, Social, Educational, Environmental Committee meeting. Please stand for the pledge. Legislator Eleanor, can you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Legislator Elner,
Here.
Legislator Russo, and Chairwoman Addonizio.
Present. Moving on to number 3 is discussion on the update for Putnam Hospital with Dr. Mark Hirko, and I don't see him here this evening. So we will move on to the next item, number 4, which is approval for a budgetary amendment, 25A025. This is the Department of Social Services opioid settlement funds. And we have to speak our Commissioner of Mental Health, Sarah Servadio, and
Kristen Warner.
Kristen Warner.
Manager.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I know who you are, but I just... Okay. So you can go over this to just enlighten us?
Sure. So for 2025, this request is to fund the appropriate agencies that submitted a proposal through an RFP through the purchasing department for both continuation and startup of new programs for 2025. So this is a use of our opioid settlement funds, which is approximately $908,000 that we currently have, and awarding it to a few different agencies by the panel as deemed fit.
So I see we have 5. Is there 5 contracts?
Yes, that's correct.
And, no, actually, if I look on the back, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 9. It looks like, is there 9?
There should be 5. I think
Okay, I
the
see
top
5.
portion there is the revenue piece, and then the expense is the bottom half portion.
Okay, so we have a total estimated $613,175?
That's correct.
Okay, so is there anything you want to, I see here, People USA, can you just, go over briefly? Just to,
So we did receive 6 proposals.
You did.
5 are being awarded
oh,
some funds. We had 1 new agency that did not receive 2024 money, and the other 4 were existing from 2024.
from the past, okay.
So, except for the new agency that was not operational last year with opiate settlement money, they are all essentially continuing what they started in 2024. It was the first year we did it. We are in the process of recouping some money from 2024. We are trying to avoid having to do that this year. Again, it was the first year we were doing it. Some of the agencies weren't able to deliver deliverables, so we are in the process of recouping that. In saying that, we expect to have more money available over the next several months while we are recouping some of that original money. The request that came in this year for 2025 was higher than what we had in the pot. So we were unable to give everybody what they asked for at this time. We expect that to change, again, within 5 or 6 months.
Was that why the 6th request for the 6th one contract was denied? Was that the reason, or was it just because they were new?
No, yeah, it wasn't something that couldn't be done by local agencies.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. Any questions from the committee? No? Questions from legislators?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. What kind of programs are these agencies putting on, or what is the money to be used for that goes to the different agencies?
Some agencies are using it for for staffing. Some of the money is being used to increase the salary for some staff, which is great. We applaud that. We want to see our peers making more money, which is great. A lot of education, a lot of prevention, and continuation of services that were developed in the 2024 RFP process. So we do have, in all honesty, we were expecting the names of the agencies with the awards to be announced. So I just want to acknowledge that.
Okay.
We do have Green Chimneys, we have Hope Care Center, People USA, the Mental Health Association in Putnam County, which is our new applicant, and the Prevention Council of Putnam County.
And if I could follow up, this is 613,000, it's a one-shot in essence for this year. And for those that are getting increased salaries, you don't expect them to come back to us next year, or maybe you do. Is it going to be an ongoing grant, or is it something that we're going to help you out this year and for specific programs? Or, you know, because I could see with increased salaries, you know, if you fund it 1 year and then it's not there next year.
Yeah, and that's a concern. We are not
Okay.
going to be able to give this much money to everybody every year.
Yeah.
We don't even know if we will go through an RFP process in 2026, because unfortunately, the money trickles in.
Right.
We don't know what's coming. We got money recently, you know, so it's very hard to put a number on what we're receiving and when we're receiving it, unfortunately. So it's hard to answer that question.
Okay.
What was the total amount that we were supposed to receive?
It kind of trickles in as the lawsuits
Right, I
are settled
understand,
from,
but what did they promise?
I
It was a large
We
number.
will give you that number.
Yeah.
It was large
Mhm.
compared to our neighboring counties. It was very small.
Right, well,
right.
thank you. Legislator Crowley, you had your hand up?
Our dynamics are a little different, I'm sure that's probably has something to do with it. I have a question, just, when they're when these wonderful, funds are granted to these different, committee or different programs, when the staff gets the allocation, are they aware of what they're allowed to use this for and what they're not allowed to use this for?
Yes, so part of the dual recovery coordinator and bringing her on board was to have oversight of this. So there are monthly meetings with the providers, there's data collection, we are tracking what is being reported versus what was promised in the RFP.
Right.
And that is, you know, why we do need to recoup some of the money from last year. But yes, and any questions that we don't know, the state answers for us, or tries to.
And we issue these in quarterly payments, so this year, before we advance the next quarterly payment, we're gonna ask for substantiation of the first quarterly payment to make sure that it falls within the line of the budget that they presented in the RFP.
I think that's fantastic. I think, you know, this is really needed. I'm kind of advocating for the staff in a lot of these programs because I don't know that they necessarily know what they can and can't use these funds for. You know, if they have a group or something that they are working with and they want to do something, I don't know that they necessarily know what is okay and what is not okay. So I appreciate your due diligence. I appreciate, you know, you guys going above and beyond, and I know this is definitely needed in the community.
Legislator Goldman?
Thank you, Chairwoman. How many more years does we expect this money to continue coming to the counties?
In some form, I think 14,
14?
15.
I believe
It was
so.
lining up with my retirement, so I believe it is probably 13 more years.
It trickles in, so a few weeks ago, we got a payment when a lawsuit was settled for around 18,000, so it's continually growing over time as the lawsuits are settled, that
Thank
amount
you.
of money.
Any other legislators? Legislator Montgomery?
I'm just trying to do the math. There was, you said there's 908,000 currently. What was awarded was $613,175, and that would leave $294,825.
Correct.
But you said that there wasn't enough funds to fund all the requests. So, but we have this balance left over from the 908.
The total ask was just slightly over $1 million for all of the 6 agencies
Okay.
for 2025 alone.
But the agencies didn't get what they asked for, because, correct?
Every agency did not get what they asked for at this moment in time. So again, we need to take a look at what we're able to get back from 2024, and we need to take a look at how the entire system can work out the issues that we saw in the first year. we are not going to be holding on to this money in any way, legislator. We want
I'm not-
this money
I'm not
out
saying that.
into the community, to our agencies. It's just we want to make sure that we avoid having to do for this year what we had to do for last year. So
So there, you said that some agencies this year, last year, didn't meet their deliverables. Are they being funded this year? The ones that didn't meet their deliverables?
Some of them had a slow startup, so it was a new program to a lot of different agencies. So if they actually got their program off the ground in June, they had that first 5 months of no spend. So I think that's the bulk of what we're really speaking to in terms of recovery for '24.
So,
Go ahead.
not every agency that receives 2024 money is getting it this year because they didn't request it.
and there's one that did request that is not getting it?
Correct.
Can we know which one that is? Was it an existing agency?
It is,
that
it
we
was
were
not an
giving?
existing
Okay.
agency, that is not a local agency.
Okay.
It was a marketing agency.
I am curious as to why a new agency that we haven't funded in the past is getting quite a substantial amount more than an agency that, has been serving us for.
So the
Couple
Mental
of
Health
decades.
Association, we do fund in some way on the mental health side, and they are expanding their services in Putnam County, so they will have more of a presence locally. MHA is in Rockland, Westchester,
Another-
Putnam. So they were a first-time applicant, they just didn't apply last year, but they are a local agency that is providing the services. Because of that, and because they are starting up, I believe 100% of their ask was approved.
Yes, or just like.
Because they're starting up, they're starting where everybody was last year.
So what's the criteria for, used to determine which agencies get the funding?
It's we follow the procurement process from the Department of General Services, Purchasing Department. We have to follow their lead, we don't get to make up those.
There's a grading scale based off of past year's performances, what the scope is, the different types of asks, the need. There's a lot of different variables.
And who sits on the committee that reviews these applications and?
The original RFP committee was multiple people across multiple different departments, including a legislator. This year it was an internal committee. Internal meaning the Department of Mental Health.
So there was no legislative oversight on the committee? And it's not something that like the Board of Health would consider or review?
Board of Health.
Community health.
The committee that Legislator Sage sits on, that is the liaison to aren't you on the Health Committee?
The Board of Health?
Are you on the Health Committee?
This is
This is not committee.
The
Board of Health.
What
The
health?
Board of Health is the health department, this is mental health, which is social services and mental health, so it's two different things.
Okay, so you don't even have a legislator liaison to mental health. Is that
I
correct?
don't understand the question. Maybe.
So we have
She's the-
someone,
she's
oversight for the health department is Legislator Sage.
That's not oversight.
Okay,
I think I could clarify. I think statutorily, the Board of Health needs a legislative representative on it. That's, I think,
That's what I'm getting at.
state law. I don't know that exists for the
This is not a board.
LGU for mental health. Most of our departments don't have a liaison.
okay. I just, I know there was legislative involvement in the past with the provider meetings, and I just haven't seen that, so, or minutes from any kind of meetings that, any
I'm not
oversight.
aware, I wasn't aware of that. What meetings? In this past year, you mean, or?
No, over the course of at least the 6 years that I've
Oh,
been
really?
on the
Oh.
legislature. There have been, provider meetings that sometimes, Legislator Sage has been there. I've been there occasionally, not as, and I thought that was one of your responsibilities as a Board of Health liaison. No.
So I can speak to that. We have kind of revamped the network meeting to be a provider meeting. So we can certainly ask our chairwoman to be a part of that meeting, but it is much more streamlined to the overall process of delivery of services in Putnam County. So it's not a larger meeting. That original provider meeting had about 70 people on the invite list. This has 20, so it's different.
So I'm kind of disappointed that the ask for these organizations, I think I assumed there was more money for the opioid settlement, and that our agencies who are providing services, that the county otherwise can't, were expecting, I know that the grant process happened and they were told to apply, but there was no cap on what they were told to apply for. So I don't know, maybe in the future there should be a cap. We had the similar experience with our outside agencies. They were just told to apply. Maybe 30,000 is the cap.
I know,
or,
that's outside of our scope though. I mean, I hear what you're saying.
You can't put a
I agree.
cap on.
That's not
I
the
don't know
responsibility
if
then.
that
I think we
is
told them to be creative and
my
with their,
role to put a cap on it, to be
Who
quite
would put
honest
the
with you.
cap on it?
I don't.
I don't know.
I mean, the state does for their grants.
I'm not in charge of the entire grant process, though. I literally only review them, what people are submitting. So outside of that, it's not.
I just am worried about these agencies that were expecting money that aren't getting it yet. I mean, can we expect that they might get some more in the future?
Yeah,
Like-
again, I think in the middle of the year, we need to take a look at what has come in since and what we're able to recoup. Because when we say that we're recouping money from a not-for-profit, that isn't as easy as recouping money from somebody who has an overflow of funds. We might have to work with them on when we're able to actually get that money back. So we're not expecting to get it all back right away.
So where, maybe you answered this here, I'm sorry, there's a lot here, and I know this is our first year doing it, and where's the 294,825 going, the extra?
Hopefully for 2026 initiatives to continue their programming.
Okay, but we'll still hope for more in
Yeah.
2026.
Like I said, it kind of trickles in as the lawsuits are settled and.
Okay.
So
Thank
I
you.
think we were under the impression when we heard the opioid settlement that was coming, that we were gonna get this huge amount of money, but it trickles in
Yes.
very slowly. And I think that's an issue. But like we say, can we expect more? Yes, but how much more? They're gonna give you what, 500,000 a year, so it would have been nice to have one lump sum. But hopefully they do come forward next year with it. Legislator Sage, did you have your hand up?
I was just gonna talk about the process, when we first had this, for the previous Piazza, Commissioner Piazza and Deputy Sundaro at the time, when we all had the providers in the meeting, the 70+ people that were there, and the purpose of this was supposed to be co-occurring mental health and substance misuse disorders, I guess. It's nice to see it finally, it's coming together, and we're working it out, and organizations who are in need of the funding, it is being distributed to them. It's nice to see it come together. I hope it becomes more smooth and we get a better handle on it going forward. And I have no misunderstanding that will happen, so. I think you're doing a great job, and
Good.
appreciate you get this out to the
Any-
organizations who need it.
Thank you. Any other legislators? Anyone from the public would like to speak on this item? Okay, I make a motion to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Don't leave.
Swapping
Oh,
out.
okay.
Also, ladies, I want to commend you for dealing with something which the private sector, cash flow. It's a very difficult model, and you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Moving on to number 5 is approval for a budgetary transfer for the Department of Social Services. This is a contract with the Resource Center for Accessible Living.
Yes, so currently we do red payee in-house with an adult protective services caseworker. Basically, that worker is designated to take in the Social Security funds and appropriately give them their allowance for food, clothing, shelter, bills, rent, food, utilities, doing to have a disability or a mental health impairment. We have looked into a contract agency called RECAL's Resource Center for Accessible Living, and we are asking to have the budgetary transfer of the grant that we currently have to outsource to this agency. We approximately serve 22 clients currently, and it's totaling $46 per month per client. So currently for this year, there would be zero fiscal impact for 2025 due to the existing grant.
Okay, just so everyone's aware, this is the amount of $6,587. And as you said, zero fiscal impact for this year.
Correct.
That's pretty straightforward.
And during the budget process, we will be obviously talking to you guys about this moving forward.
Right.
For next year, if grant money isn't available.
Okay. Anyone on the committee have any questions or comments? Any other legislators? Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. You had mentioned we have 22 clients. Is that countywide in this program?
For Putnam County,
For Putnam County?
yes.
And I'm kind of new, I'm back. Is this, this agency and others like it will act as like a fiduciary or a trustee of the Social Security funds for these people who need assistance with that? And
Yes.
we're essentially the ones lining that up and facilitating that?
Correct, and we'll
Okay.
also do case management with them as
Okay.
well.
Okay, good. Thank you. I just wanted to learn a little bit more about the project program. Thank you.
Anything else? Any other legislators? Anyone in the public? Nobody from the public wants to speak? Okay. I will make a motion to approve budgetary transfer. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to number 6, this approval for the Board of Health. Is anyone here? Teresa Burdick here? No, okay. So, on February 12th, 2025, Dr. Doyle, President of the Putnam County Board of Health, received a letter of interest from Teresa Burdick expressing interest in being reappointed to the Board of Health. And we are here tonight to discuss that. And there's nobody here to talk about that, but I make a motion if anyone has any discussion, anybody on the committee. Any questions on that? No. Legislators? Legislator Sage?
We have open seats on the Board of Health. The state of New York changed the law as far as membership on boards of health that allows the Board of Health to have members in surrounding counties. Ms. Burdick lived in a bordering county. Now that they've changed the state law, she's wanted to get on the Board of Health for quite a while. She's an actual employee for the health department, very well qualified. We're very excited to see this come up. So because of those changes, she's allowed to apply. She applied for, and we approved her at the last board meeting. So I'm happy that we're getting a full board of qualified candidates, and that's the reason why this is coming up.
Thank you.
At this time.
Any other legislators, comments? Anyone from the public? Okay. Make a motion to approve the appointment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm going to move to number 3 because I see Dr. Hirko is here. Would you like to come up, please? So we're on the agenda this evening to discuss Putnam Hospital. Some updates in Putnam Hospital.
Good evening, and
How are you?
good, it's good to be back. So, Putnam Hospital, for the past few months, really, we have seen a marked uptick in patient population. Our census is up almost 15% just in the last quarter alone. I think a lot of the EDs are seeing that. And a lot of the hospitals are seeing that in the region due to the delayed onset of flu and the change in weather, which occurred very late this year when winter started. All in all, we've had just a major change in the past year, just in the way we've seen an increase in influx in a lot of areas in services that we've offered. Cancer care has really gone up almost 100% from what we saw just last year, including chemotherapy. What we're really encouraged is the increase in primary care. I know the last time I was here, we were very concerned about primary care in this region. And if we look at October of 2023, we had no primary care new advance-based people in MailPack. And I'm happy to say, as of last week, we had 7. And we're looking at adding more. We have 8 people now in Brewster. We have 2 now in Carmel. The Go Health Urgent Care Clinic has also gone up rapidly in regards to use. That's helped us with our throughput in the emergency room. We know we took a lot of bad publicity over the past a few years in regards to wait times and just overall care. And I'm happy to say that we, other than Sharon Hospital, we lead the system in decreased wait times and throughput in our emergency room to the point where the people are recommending us at much higher levels than we've ever seen before. And if we look at just how all that is carried through, our leapfrog safety rating has gone from a C just a year and a half ago to an A, and we've had 2 consecutive ratings of A, so we're very encouraged there.
I just want, before you move on, how do you get that rating? What is the criteria?
Oh, this is a national standard looking at our mortality rates in the hospital, the readmission rates of people that come through the hospital itself, surgery infection rates, sepsis rates, overall cleanliness, and just overall upkeep of the facility, along with people recommending the facility through various rating agencies. So all of that has really been a major plus for us just in the past few years. So in the post-COVID environment, we're finally seeing a lot of the wear and tear that occurred during COVID is now gone away. And we're starting to almost respond like we did in the pre-COVID era. So we're really encouraged. Women's health is another area where we're seeing growth. We actually had 2 births yesterday. Yay. When we first reopened, we went almost a year with no childbirths. We're projecting close to 100 for this year, which in a little over about a year, almost 2 years now of being reopened, that with no obstetricians other than one, we're really encouraged how quickly that has turned around. And but to the point where now we've added an additional staffing and we're increasing our GYN level of care to the point where we need more people there. That fits the demographics of where the population is today. So we're encouraged there. Surgically, we're about flat in regards to our surgeries. And if we look at other services, particularly our inpatient units, et cetera, we've been able to really accommodate the increase in influx that we're seeing without having to either add more people or let people go, which was a major change from in the past. So if I was to look at where we were 2 years ago to where we are now, we're on the upswing. We still have a ways to go in regards to meeting the taking the financial overhead that we have versus the volume we have. We have a lot of need for increased patient flow and revenue. That's the next area we need to go. So that's the major encouragement is that everything's in place. Now we just need the doctors to bring the patients. But we're encouraged.
And what about your inpatient psychiatric unit? How is that running?
Very busy, close to 90% utilization at this point. We also are a clearinghouse for the New York Newvance-based hospitals for inpatient care also. So with that, we have just pretty much a policy, if they meet criteria, just say yes, and we've been bringing people in. So we're actually doing some a facelift of the unit with new furniture and just an overall upkeep as that process grows. Where we'd like to see further growth, that would be in our partial hospitalization program. That's the after their people are discharged, that's the program we need to see grow. Where we really took a big hit was the federal government stopped funding for telehealth visits. And a lot of our patients are coming from out of county, let alone across the river, et cetera. And it's a haul for them to come daily, with sometimes 100 to 200 mile round trips just to come for that.
Yeah.
So we've really been petitioning the federal government, a lot of hospitals and inpatient units, to actually see if we can get that CMS to start paying for this again. So we're encouraged, but I'm not going to say yes, that everything is going to be great until we're sure that we see that.
Mentioning the OB/GYN, and I know the group in Putnam Hospital that is currently there, they can only deliver in Mount Kisco, or they don't deliver in Putnam Hospital, is that correct?
They can deliver at our institution.
But they have chosen not to?
They have chosen, correct.
Why is that?
2 years ago, since they're from a private medical group, made the choice to pivot their practices to another area. There are a lot of reasons for that, but we've made it known to Optum that the doors are open if they are willing to come back, and we made that known even when we reopened.
That they can come back?
Correct.
Well, I hope they do, because I know many people not using Putnam Hospital. So,
No, we understand.
you did say there was 100, you were expecting 100 this year?
100 births this year.
And what was it last year?
62.
62, okay.
If I may, what's the basis of your projection?
We are seeing, we look at the current people that are coming through the practice. There's a 9-month delay. They can project out based upon the number of patients we're seeing that are currently pregnant that have made their wishes known that they'd like to have childbirth at our location. They've undergone prenatal testing, they've had tours of the facility, et cetera. So that's kind of where we look at this point.
Okay.
Okay, so these are all existing patients, and like you said, there's one group. Aren't there other groups that you could attract so this birthing center can be used?
Constantly looking at that. At the same time, we're also looking at the demographics of the county itself, which are projected to show a leveling off of population and a large uptick actually in patients of age 65 and older, and a decrease in those of 18 and under. So there's a discrepancy. So we're trying to meet the need that we have currently and project where we're looking in the future. Yes, we'd like to see more patients come to our hospital. We're considered a low-risk facility, so we take patients that are, relatively low risk with no complicating factors that can be projected out. So that's based upon the neonatal care that we can offer and our proximity to other facilities that have that capability.
Okay. Legislature, yeah.
I don't know if you're allowed to discuss this or to sort of what degree you are. What is the current status of the possible merger? I know you touched on it a little bit last time. You had choice words of what you were allowed to say and weren't allowed to say, so I want to err on the side of caution for your sake. But are you able to give us any sort of update on that?
Sure. Yeah, so that was actually going to be my big thunder.
Oh, I took it from you, sorry.
No, we are very encouraged. As the last time I was here, we had to go through the approval of 3 agencies. The state of New York, which have given us tacit approval so far, the federal government through the Federal Trade Commission, and they have stated they will not interfere with any mergers or affiliations at this point, and the state of Connecticut. State of Connecticut has a more prolonged process, quite involved, and we are in the final stages of negotiations with them. Based upon what we see, we are anticipating good news in regards to this affiliation within the next 4 to 6 weeks. And there will be announcements at that point once we've received full approval from the state of Connecticut. So things are very encouraging to move forward.
I have one more question for you, and this might be a little invasive, but I'm gonna do it. How will that affect the union situation that you currently have? Will the nurses still be union with the merger, or are you not allowed to discuss that?
Well, most of the Northwell hospitals are unionized too, with the same union. They just have different branches of that. So we don't anticipate any major changes in that area. And just even once this approval comes through, we're probably looking at a 12 to 18 month ramp-up period as we finish our get-to-know-yous and move forward with some actual in-depth discussions about service allocation, etc. And they're still not allowed to speak to us about that until we sign.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So we're really encouraged by
So
that.
I just wanted to ask you, I'm just changing the subject a little bit, but there are many employees at the hospital, as you know, that are angry right now. And I'm wondering, there was a 2023 pay increase. Now, was that claimed to be a mistake? But how does that, can you explain that whole situation that's going on right now?
Just as we go with any issues with internal, employee-related issues, we've left that with our union negotiators and the unions to go through that whole process at this point.
So, can you just explain a little bit what happened? I mean, was there a pay increase and then it was taken back? How did that?
We had again, there was a pay, how can I say, we have a memorandum of understanding and agreement with the unions, and the union, along with the various union members and our union negotiators, are going over the fine details of the different issues with that memorandum, which occurred 2 years ago.
Okay, so working on it now, currently working on that.
Yes, because we know coming up at the end of this summer, we will start another negotiation for another contract.
Okay, thank you. Legislator Goldman.
Thank you. Do you have any plans to expand to the western side of the county? You mentioned Mayapack, but what about Putnam Valley or, Phillipstown?
As we look to our future, which may or may not include an affiliation with Northwell, that would actually be something we would look at. At this point, based upon the resources we have available within our health system, we made the first outreach of growth into the Mayapack area, and we're consolidating that. The next area is to also consolidate Carmel, which we really, since we were pretty much, our hospital was fed with patients from private medical groups. There's been a pivot and change over the past decade with the groups moving and consolidating. So as we grow Nuvance Health-based physicians and hire physicians to fill those areas, we're looking to grow in various regions. We anticipate close to a 39 to 50 physician / APP or nurse practitioner shortage just in primary care alone in this region, and that's one of the regions we know. So we know we need to grow there, and a lot of people need to grow, or a lot of people understand that. We're just using the resources we have available to
Thank you. You mentioned senior citizens, and there's an uptake in Putnam County. The number is about 25% of residents currently in Putnam that are senior citizens, so, it's got to just keep going on.
And that's where we're pivoting. A lot of the services we offer at the hospital currently and our outpatient centers are all fitting that criteria. Chronic health-related issues, diabetes, hypertension, coronary artery disease, joint-related issues, arthritis, et cetera. And it's more of a continuum of care that we're looking at. And so that's a major change from just the inpatient come through the ED, be treated, and then be discharged. So we're looking at that continuum. And that is a change for this region as we go forward. And we're seeing that with a lot of our competitors and a lot of the hospitals within our system itself, too.
Thank you.
Register Montgomery?
On that note, I would encourage taking a look at women's health for the aging population as well. That's a major thing that I hear from my constituents all the time. It's just something that's ignored, basically, all over, across the board in healthcare. So, but that wasn't my question. I'm gonna ask my question that I ask every time. Emergency room and medically assisted addiction recovery. There's a term for it. I used to have it. We talked about this in the past, you know, how overdoses are treated, but and hoping that they could be treated and released with Vivitrol or Suboxone. And is that happening yet in the ER?
Yes, it is.
Good.
It is.
Thank you.
It is. They actually have, they receive the Suboxone in the facility itself, and they receive a limited supply.
Great.
And then they, in speaking with some other leaders from other groups that are helping our facility, we're looking at further funding for more, how can I say, access to Suboxone and other areas of feedback and support that we didn't have in the past. So I can safely say and happily say that those programs are starting to grow and they're starting to take.
And is the opioid settlement money, that's just for municipalities, that's just for government? You don't receive any of that?
No, we don't.
No,
We don't.
so there's gotta be another avenue for you to.
We usually use grant monies
Mhm.
and stuff like that to help fund these issues. Now, the federal government does underwrite some issues, especially for Suboxone,
Mhm.
and so we're trying to fit that in. I know EMS has that capability now, and we're looking at for some of our physicians also to have that available.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Sure.
It's been, you know, obviously the opioid stuff is something I'm always concerned about, so that's the hard questions. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Definitely. And I wanted to follow through on the women's health. The one area of growth when we decided, or actually when we reopened our labor and delivery unit, it was to really pivot our focus somewhat also into the aging population and women's health being one of the larger service lines for growth. And that is the one area. Yes, we're projecting 90 births, but we've had over 350 patients come through for just women's health totally. And so we're really looking as we integrate cardiology with our gynecologists and with a lot of our other services, we're trying to fit all that in together. And people are really taking that to heart. And that has been one area that really has markedly grown.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Good news.
Any other legislators? No? Anyone from the public would like to speak? Please come up and just state your name. Yeah, please, over here.
There's a sign-in sheet at the
There's a
podium.
sign-in sheet, so you don't have to state your name, you can write it down.
I'd like to ask Dr. Hirko if administration is or is going to be involved in the resolution of the pay discrepancies that are currently involved in the union bill.
We are notified of the negotiations with the union and the various employees.
So are you looking at it just as a legal means when you talk about decreasing people's pay, or are you looking at it as an ethical manner?
I would answer that question. This is something that should be handled between the union leadership and the people that negotiate
And
those.
do you think it should have been handled in a timely manner, since it's been a year and a half?
Again, I won't discuss issues that can or can't be, or any potentials or hypotheticals. People have been working on this for almost 2 years now.
Have they been communicating with the employees?
Have they been communicating?
Has
with the
HR or administration been
Yes, they
communicating?
have.
So they're responding to the numerous emails by numerous employees?
They are communicating to the employees and communicating
Not
also
to
through
everyone.
their union leadership.
Not to everyone, they have not. The communication has been very poor on your end. Numerous employees have reached out numerous times asking for explanation, but zero responses on some of it. It's not acceptable. We are human beings, we are the rest of the community as well, and we deserve to be treated like the rest of the community.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any public comment? No. Okay, well, thank you for coming this
Thank you.
evening.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll keep you informed as the things move forward.
Yes, please do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Moving on to 7, other business. Seeing there's no other business, I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Adjourn.
So this is where the magic happens. I've never seen this. Really?
Who's else is there? Who else is there? Oh,
Would everybody please rise and join Legislator Adenizio in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Legislator Crowley,
Present.
Legislator Yonke, and Chairman Elmer.
Here. First item of business is acceptance of the minutes of Physical Services meeting December 16, 24, January 27, 24, and February 12 of 2024.
Second.
Make a motion, seconded by Legislator Crowley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 4 on the agenda is approval for the
for a budgetary transfer to close out some capital projects. See Commissioner Fieri and Deputy Commissioner Belushi's here. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Thank you.
Right, so basically this is, hi everybody, give back, so to speak. So essentially the projects that were completed, kind of with the benefit of our skilled labor workforce, we were able to blend some of these projects together and as a composite kind of effort and save the county a lot of money. And big thanks, like I said, to our staff at the DPW. And then we were lucky in a couple of these projects to have local contractors which were on our on-call list, like the Bellis Brothers and Johnson J&R Tool up in Kent. So it was a double benefit having local contractors work on it and actually have money to put towards more work in the future.
Okay. Commissioner Fieri, don't be bashful. You and your crew have saved over $307,000 on this, and I commend you and everyone at DPW. So this is going to go back into the county's reserve or DPW reserve?
County's reserve.
County's reserve, okay. Any questions by any legislators or the committee? Any questions by the public? No?
Just say thank you for your hard work and
Thank you.
dedication.
Thank you.
Okay, so I move to accept this transfer. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for coming out.
Make it easy.
Item 5 is a budgetary amendment for New York State DOT Urban Master Agreement, Modernization and Enhancement Program, MEP. We have all these acronyms. This is for public transit. Welcome, Commissioner of Planning, Development, and Transportation, Barosa. Please let us know.
Good evening. So I was before you, I want to say in December, to get approval to execute this contract. This is just to bring the funding that we received into the county budget. So there is a Schedule A that was attached to the contract that shows all of the funding that we received. Most of it is matches to our federal funding. We get 10% match to our 80% federal. So that was already accounted for in the budget. The MEP money is new. It's 100% funding for 5 different projects. So that is what we are discussing tonight.
Okay, so again, excellent. You're bringing in an additional $551,000 some odd dollars. Any questions or comments by the committee? Legislator Crowell.
Just want to thank you for all your hard work and again, being so successful in bringing the county funds and all your time that goes into it. It does not go unnoticed, so thank you so much.
Any other committee members? I did notice here that in Schedule A that some of these funds go out to 2028.
That's the contract.
Okay.
We are eligible to spend it until 2028.
Okay, so we received and we have to spend by 2028.
Correct.
Otherwise, there's a potential clawback. Okay.
Well, we can extend the contract, but, I mean, hopefully we spend it.
Anybody know what we have here? Okay, Legislator Sage.
Thank you, through the chair. I just, there's several projects that are earmarked for this funding,
Yes.
and it is to be rehabilitation for transit facility and those types of projects.
So the MEP grant program is from New York State. It's 100% funding. It has to be allocated to public transit. So it's modernizing or enhancing it, which for us, our buses could be purchased. Our buses are not large enough to qualify. So pretty much all of it has to go into the transit facility.
So one of the items is electrification.
Yes.
We don't have any
That
electric
is
buses.
to build the charging stations.
So to build the,
that
so
we
in the
can-
future, we could qualify to fund electric buses?
Yes.
Any other legislative questions or comments? Anybody from the public? Okay. Being that there's no other comments, I move that we accept this and approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Agenda item 6 is a budgetary amendment, 25A-024. This is a release of Soil and Water Conservation District Part C funds to be used for education and outreach initiatives. Specifically, it's a culvert inspection camera and a contribution to salary of an employee. Welcome Neil Tolman, our Putnam County Soil and Water District Chair or Head. Neil, why don't you tell us what's going on?
Sure.
please?
Mr. Elner, what order do you have them in? You have the salary and then the camera and then...
Training, other equipment, general contingencies, and then performance measures is the way the Commissioner of Finance wrote the budgetary amendment.
Which one would you prefer to talk about first? Well, maybe we should start with just a quick, just what the Part C money is for. The Soil and Water has yearly performance measures that we reach through things like education and outreach and different projects, and this is how we meet the state performance measures. If we meet all the performance measures, they give us money. And so usually it's in the vicinity, now it's in the vicinity of, I think we just got our 2024 approval for $205,000. So the Part C money is a relatively flexible account that the Soil and Water Board uses for different projects. So that's the money that we're drawing off of for this, for these expenditures. So that's sort of the process it goes from the Soil and Water Board to here for the second, essentially a second approval. So the first one I think we were talking about was the $20,000 salary, which is allowable, and it's what we did, I think, the last 2 years, where my salary is, in order to get me in a sort of a regional average. That's how they decided to do it a couple years ago, was they would take $20,000 from this Part C money, which Part C money now is up around, I think, $800,000. And so that's what we did last year, and so that's what we're trying to do again this year. So that's the first expenditure. The second one is with the $8,000. I have to give it just a little bit of a backstory with this. This is money, the seedling sale. The $8,000 was money that we tried to get, we got approved for the seedling sale. What had happened was the seedling sale had been funded out of the general fund for $5,000. And then last fall, I spoke with Jen Lerner at Cornell, and they said, well, the price, everything's going up, so they were asking for an increase to $8,000 a year. And I spoke to Commissioner Fury about it at the time. I said, well, it's been coming out of the general fund, the $5,000. And I said, and it's a soil and water performance measure. So I'd feel better if we were taking the money out of the Part C fund, which is for that type of thing, rather than the general fund. The problem was that we knew we were going to be tight on time, so we voted in January, which was the first time we could vote on it. And then within a few days, or even at the meeting, Jen wasn't sure whether or not they were going to be able to make it for the seedling sale that was in April. So we knew we were going to be tight on time. Turns out they didn't think they could do it in such a tight time frame. So what we did at the Soil and Water meeting was we said, well, let's leave it in there because what we have over the course of the year, we have 5 opportunities for education and outreach. So we have the soil and water sale, we have a great seminar in Kent for NIFOLA, which is the Lake Association meeting. Then we have the 2 days of the Community Day in July, and then in September we have a Safety Day, which is sponsored by DPW. So the idea behind the 8,000, we're too late to use it for a program with Cornell, but we figured, well, it's really not too late to do something with Cornell over the course of the remaining 4 events that we have from now through September. So the idea was to, well, let's hang on to it. We'll try to incorporate some sort of seedling sale mostly at the Community Day, where we really need to try and draw people over and try and figure out how to, I mean, at 10,000, I don't know what the numbers are, but there's thousands of people that attend that event. So anything that we could do to work with Cornell, deliver some seedlings. I mean, lake protection is always a big topic. We're trying to work with plantings and things that we can put around lakes. So anyway, that was the idea behind the 8,000, was to keep that on board so that we could use it for the education and outreach. And the education and outreach, well, the more of those boxes that you check, then the better your chances of getting more money next year. So the idea was, well, let's put it to work, sort of. And then the last one was the camera, which goes to a little different section of soil and water, more pointed towards the MS4 compliance element, which I also work with both Commissioners Fury and Barossa. And so the idea behind the inspection camera is a big part of the new MS4 permit is inventory. And they want to know really where are all your culverts, what are their conditions, where are your interconnections, which are the connections between your MS4 and a local MS4. So the idea behind the camera was to be able to do these inspections. It takes the picture, keeps it on file, it sends it back to the office. It does it eliminates a lot of bookkeeping, or a lot of paperwork, I should say. So those are your 3 requests for the Part C fund.
Okay, will this camera be loaned out to other municipalities for their use?
It will, and last year we approved a new mower, and anything that we buy with soil and water money, I mean, if you're gonna, right, that's how I can justify buying it, is because it becomes part of an intermunicipal agreement, sort of a high-tech tool library, and if we loan it to another town and they use it to get their MS4 program together, well, we get credit for that too. So it's always a lot of way you take something like that, you try to make the most of it over several programs if you can.
Okay. Any questions by the committee? Legislators?
No question. You had my question about sharing it, and are there intermunicipal agreements in place for the sharing of equipment, or do we have to develop the IMAs?
They're pretty boilerplate.
I think we should let the commissioner respond to that.
Actually, yeah, through the chair, thank you. Actually, Lowell's here, and Lowell's helped us put the MOU together with the towns and villages. So the heavy lifting in MS4 is really at the local level. So any help we can give them is huge. Yeah. So we're actually meeting next week, I believe, for hopefully the final draft of our MOU. So very happy about that.
Well, I think we also try to make sure that whoever borrows it has proper insurance and proper instruction for people who are going to be using it, proper training.
That was my next question. It looks like a pretty complex.
Right, well, we've done that.
Is there any training needed?
So if I can, through the chair, any equipment that, let's say, if we loan out an excavator or something like that, we're gonna have our operator with that excavator, you know.
So there'll be an operator with it.
We'll maintain it ourselves,
Thank you.
right, including the maintenance on the machine.
Great.
This way we know it's, you know, and if let's say Kent loans us, you know, a Grail, it'll be their operator with that machine. This way, the person knows it, they, you know, they're very familiar with it, and we don't see less problems that way than just outright loaning.
One more question, please. Thank you. And I'm just, I'm a little uneasy about releasing the $8,000 because we don't really have a definitive answer on what it's specifically gonna be used for. So I know, you know, in other situations throughout the county, we haven't released funding unless we had a specific use and a backup like we have here.
Yeah, well, as I said, yeah, I agree to a certain, I mean, I wish we had more time to sort of put something together formally with them. There's sort of, I mean, I was thinking this is probably something that we should be asking for every year. We're time for, not just with the seedling component and trying to, you know, maintain something with Cornell, but there's handouts, there's all kinds of things that we really should be thinking about putting out there for some of these events. Part of especially the community day up at Veterans Park, where we have just thousands of people. The foot traffic is unbelievable. And I last year I had a table there with Alana Campo who was representing Climate Smart, and I'm there to talk about erosion and dams or whatever people want to talk about. And you know, we're competing with face painting and baby goats, and you know, we got to, you know, we need to up our game here. So when it turned out it was too late to you know, use the money with Cornell, then we said, well, I tell you what, let's leave it in there, because we definitely need to up our game as far as handouts and signage and a number of things. And then actually, I was thinking that if we did that, if we could sort of beef up these other 4 events, and then next year we'll go back and we'll try to get the timing right now. I'm not really sure how we're going to do it, but I'll have to ask Mike Lewis to get the, you know, we'll get the seedling sale money back for next year, and then we'll have more to offer at the other events too. So
the 8,000 is for stuff. It's not for salaries. It's not for overtime.
It's for swag.
For swag.
Yeah, we're
Baby goats.
Well, you know, I wish, but if we could, you know, we need better handouts. We need better signage. I mean, last year we sort of made them by hand as best we could. We really didn't have any budget for those events, so we were, you know, we had some fun with it, but.
So you're really looking for promotional materials?
It's education and outreach, right, and I mean, well, I think maybe you remember at the meeting, we weren't really sure. When we passed this, we had every intention of giving it to Cornell, but if they weren't gonna take it, well, let's see if we can plug it in somewhere else.
Okay.
So, again, hopefully we'll be able to figure out the timing so that we have the seedling sale again next year, and then even more at the other events.
Well, again, if I may, I would, because we don't know what it's being used for, if I were on the committee, I would recommend making a motion to removing the 8,000 until further information is given on what we're using it for. Sorry, but.
No, I mean, I know this is part of the process, but we're trying to make lemonade.
4 hours
yeah.
over $13,000.
Yeah, no, I get it.
We knew what we were getting, but that.
So, Legislature Sage, you had a question?
I just had a question about the equipment. That can go out to other municipalities. What about landowners?
We had we had talked about that, and that's I mean I'll need to talk to, well, I would like to get some feedback from Commissioner Fury, but I think as long as we had, I mean, I used to work for Glenwood, And they sort of had, different tool, and as long as they had a qualified operator and insurance, people were borrowing mowers and digging up brush hogs and things like that. So I don't think that going to certainly a nonprofit or a, reputable private entity would be outside the scope of the soil and water mission.
Is soil and water money supposed to be used for public uses, public funds? Is it, can private owners, I thought that could be used for landowners.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm saying, as long as we have, again, the insurance and the proper training, I don't mind. I certainly don't mind loaning people equipment as long as it's not gonna end up being a liability for us.
Yeah, and that would have to be, of course, mitigated prior to loaning it out, but
Yeah.
it seems like that's a benefit to the taxpayers and landowners.
Yeah, I mean, that did come up with, the batwing mower that we bought last year. That, I could see somebody wanting to borrow it. Sure, some of these places, they really only need it maybe once or twice a season. I don't have any problem with that. Yeah. Nor do I expect the board would.
I think we would need a policy. That's a really slippery slope we're starting to hand out. I would love that. It would be great, but.
Oh,
You should see the commissioner shaking his head, yes.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
We're gonna hand
So
out.
He's not on camera, but he's agreeing with you.
It's a private road.
Well, I think something like
And there's a lake right there
I
too.
think
so-
something like an inspection camera and a mower. I think you're taking a jump into excavators and road
Well, where do
grading
you draw the,
equipment.
where then you get to where do you draw the line?
We'd have to, we'd have to, well, again, that would be something that soil and water would have to think about.
But I was trying to mention that soil and water. Private landowners could apply for soil and water money,
They can.
so that's the point I'm trying to make.
Well, again,
Can't
and
make
that's one
landowners
of,
money if they apply for a grant or they have properties for
yeah.
it.
And this goes
in
back,
soil and water.
I'm sorry.
Well,
This goes back to sort of the nature of the Part C money, which I was at a conference last week of state, and I was talking to some other directors, and Part C money ends up being like the island of misfit projects, where, and that's what we take in a lot. We take in people who can't find conventional funding, or can't find sources for equipment or mowers or soft costs for projects that, I got a note yesterday from a nonprofit in Garrison, and they're interested in putting up solar panels, and would we be able to use some Part C money for solar panels? And I said, well, send me the plans and I'll run it by the Soil and Water Board next month, and we'll see if that's a direction where we want to go. Do we want to start giving money to certain people who want to put up solar panels? That might be a good thing that we want to think about getting, or maybe not, I don't know. But the thing is, Part C money affords you that flexibility, and I think that's what the state wants you to do with it. So I never say no right off the bat. I just run it by the board. Maybe that's something we can think about.
Well, we've got a foundation for it. It's what the Art Council discussion was last night,
Okay.
We have a platform for it, for redistributing county money to private organizations.
Well, and we also get, like, when they do my performance measures at the end of the year, and they'll say, oh, what's this all about? What did you do there? And you tell them, and sometimes they're like, wow, that's a really good idea. Maybe we'll share that with other, regions. So, again, that's the beauty of the Part C money. It's flexible.
If I could ask Councilor Siegel here, is it cleaner to just eliminate, because I think that Legislator Montgomery's got a very legitimate point here regarding the 8,000. Are we best just to reduce the overall amount by 8,000, or are we better off to just hold that 8,000 until further acceptable information is provided? Lowell?
On behalf of the county attorney's office, I don't know that we have a posture with regards to that inquiry. I could follow up with that with my office to make a determination. but as of this moment, we've not further discussed this at all.
Okay.
I don't know, it's a legal issue.
So at this point, first I've got to ask the public, do they have any input on this? No? Okay. I'm going to agree with Legislator Montgomery that we need more specifics on that 8,000.
I mean, we do, you mean in reference to this particular topic?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh.
then we do.
Yeah, well,
Please. There's a sign-in sheet.
yep. Sorry, the silence is definitely a no. All right, I guess I'm shocked that there's $20,000 towards salary. That sounds like it's happened over the last several years. I mean, that's a pretty decent pay raise for anybody.
If I may, it's not a pay raise.
Okay.
It's just offsetting.
Swapping from county money to Part C money, so we're just,
Okay, so
we're
it's
just, we're
Okay.
rebalancing.
All right,
or
no, that's it, yeah, no, I agree, that's why I wanted to come up and ask, because that's not what it sounded like, and not knowing exactly what Part C money was for. Although I do, I mean, sorry, I'm just looking on, there was something I wanted to ask you about the Part C money. That, hang on, let me look something up. So, something like the solar panels that Mr. Tolman had mentioned. You know, I guess, are there guidelines for Part C money that is available for us to look at for, you know, does the community have any input into that, since it is county money going, aside from, I guess, putting in for the ability to use that, is that money, is that Part C what is used for, like, an individual if they were asking for money?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question.
So there was mention of a private owner, a citizen can go to Soil and Water. Is that where the Part C money comes from? If I was coming to you to ask for a project on the farm?
Well, the Part C money comes from the state.
But is that the money used?
And that's the money, and the money, yes, does go into, it goes into a Part C account where the spending is a little more flexible in that we can entertain, I think, a broader range of projects. So we still have to run it by the board, and then I have to run it by one of my supervisors at Ag and Markets to say, okay, does this sound like something, a legitimate project that's gonna benefit the program?
Okay, and something you had mentioned, MS4, which I know was kind of thrown at everybody very recently from the state, and I know it's all more, so we gotta pay for it all out of our own pockets here in the county, which is unfortunate. But is that, like, that money could be used towards that, and is there specific things that we are going to be looking at doing, and I apologize if this has been gone over before, but I've only heard it on a town level, that money can be used towards?
If I may, Neil, is there a guideline where this gentleman?
Yes, thank you.
Where he would have some idea of approved uses, what may be approved uses, because if it's an opportunity for him to apply,
Right.
I think he needs to know.
No, I mean, it's really done on a case-by-case basis. So, and it's up to the board and Ag and Markets to ultimately decide what, I mean, all I can do is channel the projects to the board, to the Soil and Water Board. Do you think that this furthers the interests of the program? And then we go from there. Well, but that's also why I stated why I gave you the solar panel example, was to show that, you know, things can come up and it's up to the board to decide whether that's the direction they want to go.
But there has to be some sort of guidelines or limitations of what
Well, I
is
mean,
potential.
again, the parameters of that are really up to the board. Does it serve the program? Is it ultimately a soil and water? Well, there's all kinds of different, there's also sort of energy things that they like to talk about with soil. What are the goals of the soil and water program? So those things, you would probably best go back to, well, what do the performance measures reward? So that would be something, again, just using the solar panel example, we'd have to go back and say, well, is this something that we can do? We're gonna get performance points for this.
Legislator Adjournment.
Oh, thank you. Now, how would the public be aware that there is a potential project that they could apply for? Because most people don't even know this exists.
Through education and outreach.
Well, you need the $8,000. You need the $8,000
That's
for
an easy way
brochures.
out, yeah, it's an easy way out, you're saying there's $8,000 to use.
An answer.
For brochures,
Oh,
yeah.
but there's
could
gotta
be
be some
online.
sort of.
Well,
It could
that's what
go
we're
on,
trying to
it
do.
could
We're
be
trying to
online.
I mean,
So-
for example, with an irrigation project,
Yeah.
Well, this is supposed to all be I think, related to agricultural projects.
Well, he mentioned a
it
solar panel.
sounds like it's a lot more broader. I can
Yeah.
see how an agriculture project would fall in
Well, that's what it's meant for. If you read the New York State guidelines, that's
for
what,
soil and water,
yes.
water protection, pollution
Mostly for
protection.
agriculture.
Well, it goes by region too. I mean, that's why it's done by district. I mean, every county has their own priorities. And
Yeah, that's my comment, thank you for asking in the guidelines, that's what I was going for, but you're saying it's vague, but you're saying that there's programs to follow, so again, to Legislator Admusio's point, like, where is that information? Not saying it's outreach, I mean, that's kind of a slap in the face, because you got $8,000 you don't know what to do with.
Well, I think.
And it doesn't sound like there's a plan, and this sounds like something that would be a benefit to the county and any agriculture that's going on that could benefit the soil, the water that's going on. I know in Southeast, last board meeting I went to, they're dealing with PFAS in the water for one of the communities. Is there money that can go towards trying to resolve on that property that's causing this chemical issue, instead of just putting in a Band-Aid to fix water for a community? The better the soil, the better the water. All of our water run downstate. And, what can we do with that? There's gotta be something that is, at least some bumpers to tell us this is what that money, and if, to your point, if it's the performance, well, what's the performance that we're graded on? Again, I don't see anything that I, in a quick search, couldn't find on the website on soil and water saying what that is. And if that's the guideline that I need to stay in, well, right now, I don't believe I qualify for anything, because I don't know what it is to even remotely ask for. But you're telling me it's vague, so I know I'm kind of at a catch-22 here. Do I ask for everything? Do I ask for nothing? Or do I sit on my hands and hope that you come to me saying, hey, that your property runs through water, this is a good spot for us to do whatever project?
Through the chair. Could a person apply and then ask you, call you up personally, and just ask if a project like this would be applicable for?
That's how we do it.
Or would they just come before the soil
and
water board meets monthly, so it's open to the public.
Now, there's that's a separate from the agricultural board that hasn't met, and okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's not nobody's gonna walk out on that when the public walks in? Okay, we've unfortunately had experiences where the public has come to certain meetings and not held prior to anything else. So, I don't wanna come asking for money and then because I'm coming asking for money, not have a meeting. So, I think that's
as far as I know, there's no litigation involving the soil and water board.
Okay.
So I guess the
This was
answer.
prior to any litigations, obviously we all know what we're talking about there, but this was all prior to litigations as well, so.
But I mean, a very good point is raised here. For the county, I see that we're kind of in a little bit of a cycle. there are certain things that the state indirectly is encouraging, because if we do these things, then it's possible for us to increase future funding. So I think that we may want to consider and come up with, I was going to say, attractive projects which can help both the community and increasing the Part C money. And like I said, I'm going to be straightforward. I don't know. Okay, this is a really good question that needs to be addressed. You know, I do know one thing that was looked at before was not specifically PFAS, but when a town was looking at a new technology for all of their water treatment, you know, as a whole, that a pilot, there was some money that could be made available. The town didn't follow through, but I mean, this is something that could be very beneficial.
I think we should continue the discussion then.
Absolutely.
At one point, and maybe find out more information.
I think
for the
that,
public,
I think
yeah.
that the next soil and water meeting, you know, we should see if we can start putting something together.
I think that possibly is where some of that $8,000 can go.
And we need more than 8,000.
We need more
Well,
than 8,000.
agreed,
but I'm just
absolutely,
saying-
but at $8,000 to start
It's a start.
educating people and I mean, it's education and outreach.
Right.
And, you know, as a local farmer and part of the agriculture here, I'm doing what I can and what I know I can, and what I have done enough research to do better for the soil and make better soil, which will make better water. I mean, we're in Putnam County, we grow rocks around here, I get that. So the more organic matter and stuff we can put in to make better soil, but, you know, I have a lot going on my plate, and I don't know and I don't see all these projects that maybe could possibly do better for the water that runs through my property that goes downstream.
I agree.
Typically when it's raining, but I guess the outreach part seems to be lacking. From a county perspective, is there, you know, and it's not just big farms. Glenwood is mentioned, there's large farms around here, and that's fantastic, but a lot of us smaller people that just definitely don't have the money. I work a full-time job to do what I do, to provide food locally to my other community members. I also have 5 kids now.
I think you've raised an excellent point, and it's something which we really need to
I
start
think the outreach
discussing.
needs to be, and that's why I mentioned the 8,000 as a start.
Right.
So that's maybe an opportunity, that $8,000 could work with Cornell to work with the farmers of Putnam County to say, hey, here, how can we work, what projects do we want to do that are going to meet this criteria that's going to help us earn more money? So use that $8,000 towards putting
Yeah, I
something
think
together to
that-
work with the local farmers in
No,
the county.
I think that it should be any Part C, and we shouldn't exclude anybody.
We haven't excluded anybody.
Okay.
We've been
Nor
actually,
should
we've
we
been soliciting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I have yet to hear of any of the solicitation as a local farm. If anything, you've been extremely difficult to talk to, so I appreciate that. I will step back. Thank you, guys.
Okay, any other questions, comments by the public? Yes.
Can I sign in after to save some time?
Sure.
So what I did want to know is, there seems to be a little confusion about Part C funding, right? Is there anyone who knows what Part C funding actually is, like verbatim in Ag and Markets law?
I'm gonna defer to Neil and Tommy, and actually Barbara, you're here, because it's not a simple issue.
It's not misfit toy projects, though, I think we can agree on that.
Yes,
Well,
it's very.
It's projects that don't that might not be able to get funded other places. It's a bit more flexible in that respect. When I say that, it's for, we've had people come to us with projects that they want to get grants, but they can't even get enough money to pick up the soft costs so that they can get the drawings done, so that they can get into the funding, or they can even throw their hat in the ring with grants. So that's when I say the misfit projects, these are people who just,
Fish stocking
they
has been.
can't even get it, they don't even have enough money to get the soft costs and get some drawings together so that they can get in the grant pool. So this is this is what we've been trying, these are the types of things that we've been trying to work with people with Part C money. And, Part C money, it really hasn't been a lot of activity since COVID with Part C money at all. And so again, it goes back to you know, how do we get the word out? How do we, you know, sort of as a board decide what we want to, what kind of type of projects do we want to promote and what types do we not want to promote? So we've had some good feedback from board members in the past who, somebody will come to the board with something and they'll say, yeah, I just don't feel like it's, you know, this doesn't feel like a soil and water project. Okay, so then we move on to something else.
So that's a
Please continue.
pretty nondescript, concrete answer. One of the actual items is for agricultural best management practices.
Okay.
So that's something that is specifically brought up for every applicant ever in the history that I've seen for agricultural district, which is a hot topic. I'm not going to go further into that. But Part C funding is specifically for soil and water by agriculture and markets. Funding to implement those programs that everyone says that these farms need to have to get into district. I didn't hear that mentioned one time. I heard $8,000 for swag and $20,000 for salary increase. Is anybody tracking that?
Well, again, not salary increases.
Now, you say that, but April 9th, which is in part of the agenda backup for tonight, it explicitly says that last April, salary increase of $17,800 for Soil and Water Conservation District Manager upon passing his exam retroactive to January 24th.
Right.
This gives the money to actually make that where it doesn't cost the county, but it's still giving and encouraging that exact thing. Is it
Right,
not?
because we have to pay a living wage and commensurate. It's, look, we're moving funding from one source to another, I'm gonna say that, but you raised an excellent point here, okay? And I would encourage everyone to come forward, you know, if these funds are available, they should be utilized.
If the Soil and Water District Manager has not mentioned one time that that is a very big component of it, that leads me to say there shouldn't be that salary increase. Do you understand where the contention is?
I don't wanna go there. I am on the Soil and Water Board, and I would encourage people to come to the meetings and discuss it. There is a farmer member on this, and if the gentleman in the back did not bring it up, I don't even think we'd be having this discussion, which I think is a very positive discussion.
Having which discussion?
This discussion right now.
Yeah, no,
That
this
there
was
could
part
be,
of
that there
entirely
are
this.
available funds.
Yeah.
So if we have available funds, because the county always encourages grants, et cetera, let's investigate it.
Does anyone know what the goals in ag and markets are for Part C funding? Explicitly stated?
No, they leave it up to the districts and or that's more specifically the district board.
So this is from ag and markets. It's specifically improving water quality by reducing agricultural runoff, non-point pollution sources, which I've seen mentioned a lot of times. Supporting farmers in meeting environmental compliance standards. That's not swag, that's not a salary increase. So I understand that it is a slap in the face to the farmers to issue money to compensate for a salary increase that shouldn't have been there in the first place. It's a slap in the face to $8,000 to be allocated to swag. I don't even know what to say anymore past this. And there's plenty I could, but I think you guys get the point. There's a lot of people that are against this for these very reasons. Thank you.
I'm Dan Hanovich, and I just wanted to comment on the same topic. I had Neil out at my property when we went through the application to be in the district, and he had concern over my logging practices, which were designed by...
I just want to make sure we're staying on.
It's on topic. Just
on
giving you an example.
Part C money, okay?
I had him question what loggers, the town, and a wildlife management consulting firm created because of his concerns on water. I then followed up with an email to see how I could fix this. At no point was this ever brought up to me or offered as a part to be used on my farm. So we're giving a $20,000 increase in salary for a person who did that to a farm with 114 acres, and I'm at a loss of words. because I've been thrown through the ringer with this.
I don't want to see an individual's compensation attacked here. At Putnam County, we unfortunately have major issues of attracting and retaining employees. We pay extremely low. We have, in my opinion, inordinately high medical contributions, which makes people's net pay even lower. So in order to retain employees, things are done. You're welcome to your opinion, and I respect that. And and you can voice this, because this is public comment, and there's not going to be censorship. But
And I want to open up the olive branch to try to work forward on this with Neil, who won't even look me in the face anytime we've had these things. It's true, Neil. I'm a man of my word and integrity, and a handshake means something to me, and a look in the face and not lying to me means something to me.
I didn't know I was gonna be under personal attack here.
that's
You know,
that's what I'm really trying to avoid. Okay, I understand that you're upset, and part of this, I'm gonna blame it on me, okay? Because I was ignorant, okay? I own that. But let's fix it.
Which I understand, and I appreciate that, and I want this to be an olive branch to move forward, and I would love to work with Neil and the town. Hell, you wanna do swag? That's what we do with a lot of counties and facilities. You don't need to go out sourcing goats to be at your booth.
I think that was a joke.
I get it, but it works, and we're part of the community, we wanna continue to be part of the community, and I wanna work with the community to do things to better my land, the community land. I have a big chunk of land very close to water, would love to make it as best as possible for everyone around me, including our own animals. But the olive branch needs to be started somewhere. I'm starting it from my side. I hope the county offers it back and that we can work forward on this. I hate that we've all wasted so much time and energy and emotions over this topic when you look at what this type C funding is for. Hey, I'm right here. Like, I want to be a part of this. It helps the community, it helps the county, and it will help us do a better job at what we're doing.
Okay, forgive me, I'm not trying to be flippant, but what I'm gonna encourage, come to a soil and water meeting and apply. Okay, they're once a month, usually the last Wednesday of the month. If you can't physically be at the meeting,
I'll be there.
You can attend the meeting remotely. And let's go forward.
Perfect, thank you.
Nancy?
There's no application online, so going forward, can we have like other counties do? Like have an application process with an application online? Not sure why you're looking at me like that, but it's just.
Well, because like I said, I'm just a board member, I'm not the chairman, and I think you're raising a very legitimate point.
You're on the Soil and Water Board,
Correct.
You've been on it.
Correct.
Like, I don't know what committee members are doing, honestly, I just don't know. I don't know, okay? I'm not on any committee, so I get it. But look at what other counties are doing in soil and water. Make suggestions, have an application process online. Look at what the state law is, for God's sake.
Super quick, one, I forgot to sign in, so I did that. But I just wanted to clarify, is it the Soil and Water Conservation District Manager or Soil and Water Conservation District Director? Because I've seen all those different terms kind of thrown around, and there is a difference between them, so I don't know what the role or title is.
Right now, it's the interim soil and water director.
Director. Which it's
Interim director of soil and water.
Which it's actually the manager. Because you're not on the board of directors, correct?
I am not.
That's all.
Legislature Sage?
I was just gonna, I mean, I have been on the Soil and Water Board in the past. And we have had an application process, and we have evaluated projects. In fact, I sent applications to my town and tried to get them constantly, ask them to apply for that type of money, and it's so slow in coming. You know, we did fund we've done the Patterson, is it the Great Marsh Swamp?
The Great Swamp, right?
The walkover project, that was one of the projects that we funded. But it was also my understanding that this grant funding could be offered to landowners, and that if they have like an MS4 project or something, because water affects everybody in the county, not just one landowner. We've said this over and over again. Water flows throughout the county, and so if it's on one person's land, it's going to flow into the next person's land, and that's the reason for this soil and water funding. And in my years on there, and that's what my understanding was. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, if that's correct or not.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, since I've been there, we've you know, just sort of been rekindling, you know, several years where there were no Part C, anything. So I mean, this is sort of a cold start, and we've been working with the board to try and form some policy and say, well, what kinds of things are we, you know, what kinds of projects could we support, and how do we get this moving? I've said a couple of times that, you know, there's a fair amount of money in this Part C account, and I've been trying to work with the board on saying, well, how do we get people interested in it? And apparently we're making some progress.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's good.
Gentlemen.
Good evening. My name is Andrew. I'm from Putnam Valley. To consider increasing pay by $20,000, I just wanted, my experience.
Look, I'm sorry, this is not, okay, the position pays a certain amount. In order to come up with that amount, money was taken from Part C. So it was not a, hey, okay, there was a hiring, you went through personnel.
Salary will not increase, you're telling me?
It was a complicated setup through
The salary
personnel.
will not increase, was the question.
I'm not getting a salary increase this year.
It will be,
no.
Or in the future?
Well, in the future, there was cost of living adjustments. What I'm saying is there was no salary increase regarding this 20,000. This is a portion of this employee's salary.
It's just sourced from.
It's sourced from other than the county general funds.
Just to make it a little more clear, we're using state funds for part of your salary instead of county taxpayers. So instead of taking out of county taxpayer pockets, we're taking from the state.
Correct.
So you're paying state taxpayers.
Just like the DA's office uses some of their, DOCJ grants to offset some of the ADAs. DCGS, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. That's what you're saying, that's what you're saying. I do know, you talk about an outreach. David Vickery, who is a member of the board, how much money was spent on his property? Did he have work done? Is that accurate?
Not that I am,
Not
in the two, call it 2.25 years that I've been on the board, never.
I also want to bring up, on soil and water, there's a New York State law saying Grange members should be representative. David Vickery mistook that, or I don't know where the confusion was, but he did walk into Putnam Valley Grange Hall and stated, I'm from soil and water, I have to be here on your portage part of the Grange, which is wrong. It's a Grange member who should be on that board. I reached out to Neil multiple times saying, hey, I'm from the Grange, tell us what we need to do to get a Grange member, an actual Grange member, on the board. And anyone who says David Vickery was a member, I went back until 2016 in the minutes. There's no, his name as a guest, as a member, there's no financial record of him paying dues. He showed up once, he bragged about how he got a grant to do water work through the county or state on his property, on his farm. So I just want, who is responsible for making sure the right people sit on the soil and water board?
It's us. When we appoint?
I would say it's us and following the direction which gets reviewed by legislative council.
Okay, so at what point?
Also, they submit to the chair, they also submit their background. I mean,
Yeah, they
I
submit,
sit
and
and
then
they
the whole
submit
legislature ratifies.
Right.
either a resume or a biography, it really depends, but in the
CV,
past,
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
And I
Dave-
have been to Grange events where in Putnam Valley, and I know I've spoken to you before, but Grange events where Dave Vickery was there in the past 2 years where, I went with friends and he was there representing the Grange. About 2 years ago, so I'm just letting you know.
I believe you, I sat there and, I mean, I'm not gonna go, they go back to 1897, I'm not gonna hit all their minutes, and I don't really know how old he is, but there is no record up until 16.
I can't speak for soil and water, I'm just
Yeah,
speaking for going
that's what I
to a
wanted-
Grange event, and he was there also during the Christmas trees when they did a
That's
Grange
not,
event.
that's a Boy Scout.
It's a Boy Scout too, but he has to allow people to be on the Grange property, right? He oversaw the Grange?
David Vickery?
Yeah.
He's not on the Grange, that's
He-
the
We
point.
don't know.
He was
I-
at one point.
Okay.
When I took over the Grange, I've been a member for 20 years, of Putnam Valley, not including other Granges. I took over, I
Yeah.
started going through.
Yeah, yeah, we're getting,
I
we're
apologize,
getting,
I brought us off topic, I apologize, but
Okay.
I'm just saying, I have
Yeah,
been to
we're
events where
talking
he
about
was
the
there
funding.
and he was, I don't know
Yeah.
what role he performs, but he
All
has
right,
been.
so one more
involved.
thing. You mentioned you have battling mowers that you guys rent out, that we can borrow. Anything else?
Well, we approved one last year.
we've been trying to get delivery on the thing.
Yeah,
well, we
I mean,
are
I'd love to borrow some.
But
from the
I
county.
think that is being lent out to
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
This
municipalities.
is a fine line, excuse me, through the
It's-
chair, we're not the rents, we don't do that.
No, that is for other
So I'm not gonna
municipalities.
get the excavator with the operator for the day.
Those are for municipalities who
Okay, well,
shared
he
services
did mention
agreement,
private property, so I just,
only for potential Part C funding.
The funding for private, not
the funding, okay. All right, just to clarify.
Good try.
Okay. I'd like to bring to a vote, but
Yeah,
gentlemen, please.
Yeah, just one more comment. The transferring of the funds, it's not about that, it's simply about using these Part C funds for salary. And I'm very concerned on whether that's a proper use of those Part C funds, because that's $20,000 that could go towards another project. So I don't know if that is, and that's research I need to do, but is salary truly something that these funds that are meant for agriculture?
So, just to speak on that, the expenditure was approved, we received an email on March 13th, was approved by Soil and Water Board on 1/29/25. It is utilizing funds by Ag and Markets. These funds are awarded for meeting past year's performance measures. It can be used to support individual projects, or in this case, to help satisfy your year's outreach and education goals. The funds are held in a Part C trust and will have zero impact on the county budget.
But
So, right, that's my point.
It doesn't say.
It doesn't, exactly, it doesn't say it though, so that email does not solidify what we're saying here. So that was the email that was sent out, but it doesn't give us the appropriation to have it actually justifiably, make up for the $20,000. And that was an email sent by you, Neil, on the 13th from Ag and Markets. I don't have the background, the actual email from Ag and Markets where you sent that, but it doesn't say in our backup anywhere that it's offset.
Well, it was,
Lowell, have you been briefed at all on any of this? Because everything has to go through the law department to make sure that expenditures are proper.
This particular issue has not been discussed in my presence.
Okay, could you please look into it and get back to us? Okay. Any other discussion on this funding of $43,000? This budgetary amendment. Nancy, you'd like to see 8,000 removed, is that correct?
It's a tough call because, we're understanding now there's a need for information to get out there. I mean, I think the biggest resource and point of information we can give the public is to have a robust website where people can apply, and an annual announcement when, there's gotta be like with the ag districts, there should be an announcement, a timeline, you know, so people are like, okay, I can apply for this at this time, like the CFA funding. We always know it comes out at a certain time every year. We always know that when we want the outside agencies to apply for funding to the county executive, there was a deadline for that. You know, we're gonna
Right,
know.
but we're, again, I'm trying to stay on topic for the 8,000. I mean, obviously, we need to do a better outreach, there's no doubt about that.
I mean, I think if we release this money without an itemized request for it, that sets a precedent for every department and in the county.
The itemization that's here, and if it's not clear enough, I'm willing to defer. It says 8,000 for education and outreach. There's a lake conference seedling samples for June 13th. County fair at Veterans Memorial Park.
For what, though, to attend it? That's part of the job description.
To have for lack of a better term, a booth.
Presence.
To have a presence there, and then there's DPW Safety Days,
That's
MS4.
part of the employee's job.
Okay.
So that's.
So that's why I'm saying
The idea was
is.
to have more materials
Right.
at
Through the
these
chair.
things. I just
Point of
wanna-
order, through the chair.
I'm sorry.
What's the point of order?
Nancy was speaking and she was cut off.
Yeah, but I thank you. And it is a conversation, and I do like the freedom of conversation. So I am struggling with this because I know you need material to promote this. We're hearing that people don't know about it. I would like to see more promotion. So, you know, I'm not gonna make that decision right now. I make that decision when I vote for it.
Through the chair, I wanted to mention, we have our attorney, the county attorney here, and maybe we should table this until he finds out about the general contingencies, the increased appropriations.
I agree with you, Tony.
Right, because, yeah, this is new to us this
Okay,
evening.
but this stuff is really easy to figure out. You just,
But we
you know,
want to find out about the $20,000
And you can use it
increase.
for salaries. It's right there.
So, sorry, through the chair, that was vetted last year,
I
personnel.
thought it was through personnel, yeah.
It was vetted through Commissioner of Finance and personnel last year. And this is just triggering that again for this year. That's all it is. And I'd like to point out, the previous person in the position was making a lot more money than what's coming out right now. And we're lucky to have Neil and lucky to have, and that was also, there was research done on the surrounding counties, what they were paying, and the surrounding counties have 4 to 6 people in the department. We have a department of 1, and we're overloaded. You know, we have interns helping out. So I really dislike the conversation about somebody here and their salary. It's wrong.
I agree. Aaron?
Oh, sorry, I'm not I'm just agreeing of what pot of money we take it from. Tommy, that's all I'm asking is, it's not.
That was vetted last year, just so you know, it was vetted.
Yeah,
last
I
year.
just think it should be part of the backup, that's all, because this backup doesn't say that, and that's all I'm saying. So I'm not, Neil, no, I'm sorry if I came across that way. That was not my intention, and never is my intention, but it's just challenging when there is nothing there saying in the backup,
It
you know.
does. 20,000 intro.
But that was
contribution.
written by Neil Tolman, just like this was written by Neil Tolman. We need some sort of backup that has, you know, if we can pull that up right now, I'm good with it.
He's doing his
And
job
I
anyway.
I
gentlemen.
understand that.
I was just, again, offering the olive branch that at any of these events, I would be glad to, no charge, bring any goat, Highland cow to these events. Again, just throwing out an olive branch, and it's funny, but people love Highland cows.
Hey, I've been competing with them.
And just put
Bring
that
the
out.
goats.
So, okay, I'm
We
gonna
need
make,
pictures
I'm
of the
gonna
goats.
make,
We gotta hire a photographer.
I'm gonna make a motion
We need
to,
8 grand.
pass budgetary amendment 24A024. Do I have a second?
25A.
25A, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, okay. And I would entertain if
All
someone
in
wants
favor?
to.
All in favor?
Before that, I was just gonna say is if someone's got a problem, I would entertain a friendly amendment for a change, okay? Being that that's not there, all in favor?
Can
Aye.
I just say one more thing? Do you mind, Chairman? Tommy, can you just get that over just for due diligence, or do you mind?
Sure.
I believe you, I just wanna see it, because
Yeah,
it's not
no,
here,
it
and
was
if
meant
we
for
get
last
questioned,
year.
we wanna make sure that we have it on hand.
Yep.
I appreciate you, Neil, thank you.
And being that we have no other business
I'd
on
like
the
to make a
agenda,
motion for other
I-
business,
Is there a
please,
second?
Chairman.
Is there a second?
I'd like to make a motion for the application period to apply to
There's
Putnam
no
County
second.
Agricultural
Excuse
District
me,
for the year
Aaron.
2025.
Aaron, per the law department, and you were given this information,
I was given.
transparent, open dialogue about how we can improve our agricultural district process is always welcome. However, the county currently has pending litigation involving that topic. Therefore, it will not be discussed at this and future meetings while litigation is pending. That said, a future discussion to dispel misinformation and ensure clarity on the law and requirements is a good idea.
And I'm familiar with what was said.
And there is
I'm
no
not changing the
there is no
process.
second
So-
to the motion.
I appeal the
You're out of
chair's
order.
decision. I appeal the chair's decision.
Lowell, you want to chime in? The motion is made, there's no second.
Okay, so then I move to wait, I have one more. I move to reconsider that our action relative to this resolution be at a special before April 1st with time to talk to council for further information.
As the chair has pointed out, the litigation that's presently pending involving the county makes it difficult for us to elucidate on the county's position in that regard and to respond appropriately. As denoted by the chair, the commentary made public just moments ago reflects the position of our office, and I believe that was authored by Attorney Abyss.
Correct.
Just so everyone's aware, that's from the law department.
That's from the law
In the
department.
county executive office.
As was mine. As I said, I was.
Excuse me, you were not recognized, you did not have the floor. At this point, has there been a second?
For the consideration?
There is no second. Okay? Being that there is no other business, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.